Why do we volunteer? Why do we give? We give back because our parents taught us to do so. Or it's a cultural norm. Or it's a status symbol. Or it makes us feel good. Or we want to model servant leadership for our children. Or donations make for good tax deductions. As individuals, we volunteer our time and give our money for a number of reasons. As people of faith, we want to ease and end suffering. As our sacred texts and traditions tell us, to seek to meet human need is to love God. In the Gospel of Matthew we read, "Then the King will say to those at his right hand, 'Come you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me.' Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when was it we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you?' And the King will answer them, 'Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me.'" And from the Quran we hear these words, "The righteous are those who feed the poor, the orphans, and the captive for the love of God, saying, 'We feed you for the sake of God alone. We seek from you neither reward nor thanks.'" Beyond the question of why we engage, whether through donations or volunteer service projects, there are some equally important questions that we need to reflect upon, and to do this, it will be helpful to review our giving and volunteer patterns over the last 5 years. In reviewing the spreadsheet, what are your general impressions? Do you see any patterns or priorities reflected in our giving? Based on our giving and volunteer patterns over the past 5 years, are we seeking to serve a specific geography, a target population, a specific need or needs? Thinking back to Module 1 and what we learned about our region's most pressing needs, is our engagement aligned with these needs? In other words, is it relevant, impactful? Does our engagement perpetuate the status quo? If so, what are the consequences of our actions for our neighbors and their neighborhoods? Is our engagement helpful or harmful? Are we engaging with organizations focused on meeting immediate needs, empowering others, or systems change? For example, food pantries meet immediate needs. Community gardens empower people to create and sustain their own food sources. And organizations that advocate for public policy changes to eliminate food deserts are working towards systemic change. Based on our giving and volunteer patterns, what are our engagement priorities? Have we been intentional in our decisions regarding why, when, where, and how we engage? Now that we have reflected upon how we engage in Metropolitan Richmond, Let's ask the alignment question of our nonprofit partners. Does their work align with the region's most pressing problems? Some nonprofits do amazing work, but their missions are not focused on the regional challenges that impede people's ability to flourish. Other nonprofits seek to address these challenges, but their efforts produce few results. The following diagram is designed to help us evaluate the relevance and impact of our nonprofit partners. The vertical axis measures impact. If the nonprofit is changing lives, transforming neighborhoods, and accomplishing systemic change, then the nonprofit should be placed in one of the upper high action quadrants. If their impact is minimal, then they should be placed in one of the lower low action quadrants. The horizontal axis measures alignment. If the mission of the nonprofit focuses on the most pressing regional needs, then the nonprofit should be placed in one of the quadrants on the right side of the chart. If the nonprofit's work focuses on issues that are not related to those community characteristics necessary for people to thrive, then the nonprofit should be placed in one of the quadrants on the left side of the chart. Are we partnering with nonprofits that have high alignment and high impact? If not, why? If there are specific reasons, what are they? Let's name them. Are there adjustments we should make in our giving and volunteer decisions? If the answer is yes, Module 3 will offer tips on how to make those adjustments.